What's up, guys? Welcome back once again to another day of the 30-day bootcamp. We are sticking with marketing again today. That has been the theme of this week. And today we're going to talk about marketing through vendor connections and putting some content creation pieces together and just tying this all in so that you guys have a really strong marketing backbone for your business, okay? Now, I'm going to jump right to the slides. We're going to go right in to tying it all together. And let's just kind of do a quick recap of what we've done so far this week. So we started off Monday with marketing and defining our client avatar and targeting. So figuring out who we want to work with, what our ideal client looks like and all of that stuff. And then figure out how do we actually figure out who we want to work with in the first place. So we did that. Hey, Danielle, welcome. Day two, we did social media and cross posting. So, we were talking more about how to, tie, we use specifically Facebook and Instagram, cross-posting material and getting your stuff in front of the right people, that you want to see your work and converting those potential prospects into clients. Okay. And then day three, we talked about lead capture strategies, which was yesterday. We had discussed ways to use forms, lead magnets, things like that. And guys, the cool thing is, these things are all playing together. One of the best parts about all of this is that you can do all of these things for pretty much free. I mean, with the exception of maybe a piece of software or a small subscription or something like that. So these are very low budget ways to market to clients. Day four, vendor connections. One of the biggest ones, one of the most commonly overlooked ways to market and network is to actually use the connections you have in front of you. Kind of blows my mind when you think about how many people that we're in front of all the time, especially you guys in the wedding space. I go back to my wedding days and I was in front of so many different vendors all the time. And had I pushed myself harder, I can't even imagine how many more connections I would have had that would have been very fruitful. But the ones I did push were very fruitful. So we're going to dive into some of that today. And I'm going to show you guys how you can start to nurture some of those relationships and turn this into clientele, okay? My computer hates me, as you guys know. Every day I try to skip forward and it takes forever. So we're going to talk about marketing through connections, and we're going to tie it in to content creation as well. And I'm going to kind of speak to all of these points on this call. So let's start here. Your ability to create and offer value is going to play a large role in your ability to generate new clients. And what I mean by that is you've got to be able to show and provide something of value. Like we talked about yesterday, it's always about the value you bring to the marketplace. And when you bring something that people value, they'll then in turn be willing to pay you for it. So you've got to be willing to create and offer value first. Now, in this particular lesson, we're talking about creating it in the sense of a collaboration, right? So a collaboration with, an existing vendor. Now, one really important thing that I think a lot of people miss is you cannot expect to get without first giving. You've got to be able and willing to give first. Nobody's just going to show up one day and start dropping a bunch of clients on you. What happens is you have to create this reciprocity between yourself and the vendor that you're trying to collaborate or connect with. Okay, and when you give and you provide value, you actually begin a chain reaction, and that is known as the law of reciprocity. And the law of reciprocity is one of my favorite things, one of the questions I get asked about a lot. We teach on this a little bit. Let me just go into the definition. I'll skip forward. So the law of reciprocity is a simple principle that suggests when one party does something nice for another, the other party wants to return the favor. Okay, it's a very, very simple concept. If you guys have ever had somebody do something really nice for you, didn't you feel almost like a sense of obligation that, man, I should do something nice back for them? Or if they ever came back to you down the road and asked you for something like, you remembered what they had done for you before and it was like, yeah, I'll totally return the favor. Well, what I've found is so powerful about this is that oftentimes the favor is returned tenfold. And it's just crazy to see, because a lot of the time, like when you extend the olive branch and you offer to do something with somebody in a collaborative effort and you over deliver, I've found that I almost always get way more value back out of that relationship. And it's nothing that I even had to do special. I just provided value that helped them first. Okay. So the desire for them to want to give back to you or for them to want to reciprocate is psychologically rooted. So this is deep rooted. And it's just the way we are as people. Like if you're a good person, you want to, and somebody does something nice for you, like you just naturally want to give something back to them. So this is why it works really well when you're forming connections with vendors and you're trying to actually, share content, create content to be shared so both parties benefit. Now, here's the other advantage to this. When you're collaborating with a vendor, not only have you provided value, but you've gotten into their subconscious mind, right? And at that point, they're thinking about you when things come up in your business. Like let's say somebody needs a vendor for, like, if let's just use weddings again, right? You're a wedding photographer and they're a planner, let's say, or they're a venue, and they ask if the client asks if anybody knows any photographers. You're going to be the first one or one of the top 2 or 3 that come to mind that get referred. And it's almost less a reflection of the quality of your work as much as it is the fact that you did something that provided value to that company. People appreciate that, and subconsciously they validate it because they start referring you. And it almost sounds kind of crazy, but I'm telling you guys, literally every time I've done something nice where I've collaborated and done something for free with somebody, I can say literally every time, but it's probably like 90% of the time, I get work back out of it, and the work is paid work, and it's work that puts money in my pocket. So it's really important to think about that as you're moving forward through this. Now, let's talk about how to incorporate this strategy. First thing we need to understand, you're going to need content to continue marketing your brand anyway. So like as you're posting on Facebook and Instagram and whatever other platform or your website, you're going to need content. You're going to have to keep producing content, whether, maybe you shoot a ton of events and you've got content, but there's always things you can do creatively to create different content that you can use and repurpose. So that's a really strong thing. Other businesses are also going to need content to keep their businesses, basically chock full of content, so they can just go back to the well, post on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And I can promise you guys this, like of all the salons, like the bridal salons, the hair salons, of the hair and makeup artists, of all those people that I've worked with, they always eat up the content that I create for them. And it leads to a better relationship because then they start referring business back to me, right? So it definitely is a give and take, but you've got to be willing to give first. And again, it's important to think about it like this, like when you give, when you create, it's not only you that wins, or it's not only them that wins, but it's also you that wins. You guys both win because now you've got something you can put up online, and it's something that you can use to further promote your brand as well. So it's a really cool thing. But once you've established the relationship or the conversation with the vendor that, they need content, like you can literally sweep in at this point and save the day. And this is where this is kind of where maybe they're looking for something and somebody's quoted them thousands and thousands of dollars for it, but you want to start a relationship with this particular person. Well, now you can actually do that, and you can do it in a way that provides value to them. So let's move forward. I'll give you guys the steps to take to make this happen. So here's how you're going to take action on this. And again, everything goes back to action always. And that's just my thing. And it's the way that every business that succeeds, it's the thing they have to do. They have to take action. So number 1, you need to contact 5 vendors who work in the same space that you're in and introduce yourself. Now, again, we're on wedding talk today. So let's just say, contact a venue or 2, a wedding planner or 2, a florist or 2. Contact some people that either you might know or have met in passing, or you want to get to know, and introduce yourself to them and let them know you're out there. Then number 2, you're going to let those vendors know you're interested in connecting with them and that you're interested in creating content for them in exchange for referrals. And if you feel odd about this, don't, because what's going to happen is you're not going to push it too hard. You're just going to tell them, I'd love to get in with you. I'd love to be one of your preferred vendors. In fact, I did this with a venue, and they had me as one of their top photographers for 5 years before they closed down. So it's all about putting yourself out there and making it known that I want to work with you. Nobody else knows if you want to or not. So it's up to you to take the initiative. But yeah, let them know that you want to get in with them. Make sure, number 3, that you're 100% in alignment with this concept. When I say that, I mean, don't do it begrudgingly. Like, don't be like, oh man, I got to go create this crap for this person and I don't really want to do it and I don't know them and whatever, and make it weird. Make sure that you're in alignment with the concept, because if you are, what will happen is that you'll do it with joy. You'll create with joy. And what will happen is that'll show through in your work, okay? And when it shows through in your work, that means a great result for them, which means they're more enticed to refer you down the road. And look, one other huge advantage is when you create killer work for them, they're gonna post it everywhere. So your name is getting out there over and over and over again. And I know some people will say exposure doesn't pay the bills. That's true. But when people see your name over and over again, it also solidifies you as a legitimate brand. So this all helps. Go. I got to figure out why this thing's taking forever. So step 4, you're going to create the content. Then you're going to deliver the content in a timely manner and follow up making sure that they love what you created. And if they don't, for whatever reason, figure out why they don't and see what you can do to improve it. Okay. Number 6, make sure you've got an agreement in place. So, they basically know how to promote you when using your work online. So like if you're on Instagram and you want them to use your Instagram handle, you give them that information. You don't just tell them, hey, tag me on Instagram. You got to give them the physical, like the handles and the locations that you want things posted. So make sure that there's some sort of agreement there. And 7, don't be afraid to ask them to do their part. So for example, if you do all of this work and then they start posting on Instagram and don't tag you, don't get mad about it and go like ranting on Facebook. Hit them up. Say, hey, you're supposed to tag me in this work. Remember, it's like part of our agreement. Just want to make sure you got my handle. I'd really appreciate it. And they'll be like, oh my God, I totally forgot. Or in my case, what happens a lot, my assistant doesn't know or hasn't thought about which vendors were involved. And sometimes people just don't get tagged. So it happens on accident sometimes too. Okay. So don't be afraid to reach out and let them know that, hey, just want to make sure we're both honoring the agreement. Can you please tag me? And let's talk about other ways to use this. Now, this works incredibly well with models. So I don't know what line of work you're in, but we us in Boudoir, we need models from time to time to try out and test different concepts, right? So I will always work with a model on a concept because I know I can get creative. I can post this stuff online. I can kind of do what I want with it, and I don't have to think twice about it. So it's really good because, models, they want content and need content to post as well. So what happens is the trade basically becomes this, right? They're going to provide you their time and talent. You're going to provide them your time and talent. And that is the trade-off. There's no money exchange for this. But what happens is you're creating a new relationship with somebody, or maybe it's an ongoing relationship. And the cool thing about it is, and I want to share with you guys, I cannot tell you how many paid clients have come from trade sessions I've done with models. It's outrageous. Like I've done, I don't even know how many sessions we've done for free to build content just to promote our brand. And they've pointed their friends back to our studio. So the same thing is true and available to you guys. It's not always like, I don't necessarily promote doing everything for free, but when you're building content for your site anyways, when you need new content, when you want to establish relationships, it's a great foot in the door and it's a great way to bring clients back to you. Okay. So that's basically all I have today. All right. If you're in a position, where maybe you need help building content out, maybe you need help. Well, that's the wrong one. I swear my slides are jacked up. I'm sorry, guys. So if you're in a position where you need, help putting any of this into play, you want to talk about what the next steps are in your business. You want to talk about, what's working, what's not working. Hit us up. You can always give us a call or fill out the application for us at 7step6figures.com/apply. Book a call with us. We're happy to get on the phone and chat. And again, if you guys, I'd like to know, like whatever you guys have found valuable this week and the week before, if you'd share that with us, we would absolutely love to hear what you guys are taking away from this training. It means a lot to us to know the ways that you're actually growing, and we'd love to be able to support you guys that way and moving forward, as we continue to push and promote this group in our program here too. So with that being said, guys, as always, we just want you to be fearless, take action, live empowered, and have an amazing afternoon. We will see you tomorrow.